Most people are using AI completely wrong. They type a lazy one-liner into ChatGPT, get a generic watered-down answer back, and conclude the tool is overhyped. It's not the tool, it's the operator. In the next 45 minutes, I'm going to hand you the exact mental model and the exact framework I use to get world-class output from any GPT. ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, it doesn't matter. This isn't about memorizing prompts. It's about understanding how these systems actually think so you can bend them to your will. Here's how it's laid out. First, we demystify what AI really is and why it predicts instead of thinks. Then how it actually works under the hood in plain English. From there, we get tactical with C.R.E.D.O, which is the framework for a perfect prompt every single time. How to stack specialized AI agents like an assembly line, and the guardrails to keep your output accurate and safe. And finally, the advanced prompting hacks that unlock next level reasoning. By the end, you won't just use AI, you'll operate it like a pro. Let's get into it. All right, so first module is going to be about the principles of the AI. We want to understand fully how they work so that we can actually use them the right way. It doesn't matter which AI it is. We can apply this to any type of AI that we use in any language model to give us way better outputs, because once you understand behind the scenes what it does, then you can actually use it and literally bend it to your will, because you can understand how to get the best out of it. So first module, so here in the mental map, it's kind of want to understand how the process of it getting us an output works. So it's most likely it's a prediction, not a thought that it's doing, because we think and we can see when we send messages that it has like a little thinking animation, or sometimes it says that it's thinking, but in reality it's not the right way of saying it, because it's not really thinking. Okay, when we are creating something, when we're writing down something, thinking about ideas, we use creativity and reasoning, right? That's a human thought. Ideas that come up and pop up in our mind, right? Cook something new, maybe Italian, call a friend. Conscious, creative, and based on real understanding. Okay, that's how our brain works. But once we see AI is really a prediction, right? So AI is really good at pattern matching and probability. It literally creates and pulls and takes text messages and run them through machine learning, give them a specific numbers that then it gets them and match them to find out what would be the best probability for the next word that would fit the best in whatever task, whatever sentence is generating. Okay, so it uses pattern matching and probability. So let's say if you put an input that says the cat sat on the ... That's it. Then what it's going to do is going to analyze patterns in massive text data that it has and that it's read in the past. And then it's going to see, okay, which word would be the ideal or the one that would match the most, that would make the most sense to go here. And then add probability, right? 85%, 10%, 3%, maybe 1% on roof. So it finds, okay, the highest probability is this one. So that's what it's going to tell you. And then this is literally done on every single word that it spits out. Okay. So it's making it extremely quick to give you the information with all the data that it has and the context that you've given it and the input that you've given it, so that it gives you the best result. So it's actually a prediction that it's outputting instead of an actual thinking process. Okay. So it calculates the most likely word based on statistical patterns. Very important to understand this. Okay. So we can give it, complete this famous phrase, right? If I go here and open new Claude, let's say, and tell it, complete this famous phrase, the early bird gets the... I was going to think for a sec. Pondering. It says pondering, but it's not really. Worm. There you go. It's a proverb encouraging punctuality and initiative. So, this is because it read that information. Okay, you have read a sentence or that sentence specifically. Okay, so that, let's see, if I told it what happened in the meeting I had yesterday, it's not going to know because it doesn't have that context. So we need, if we had that context, then it's right now it's searching for past conversations because Claude actually helps you with memory. But you see, I searched through her past conversations and didn't find any discussion about a meeting you had yesterday. So it's just because I never told him about it, so it doesn't have that data. It doesn't understand. So that's the difference between it's not real thinking. It's just searching a pattern through the text that he has and the data that he has. That's the only difference. Okay. And then the second part is think of it as a supercharged intern, I would say. Yeah, this is a very good analogy here. Okay. So if you ask it, make it pop and add some pizzazz, right? The AI is going to be like, okay, what do you mean by that? So it's like asking, an intern, just give it some random unfinished instructions, and then it's gonna be like, okay, let's maybe I'll try to figure something out. But see, vague input like equals little confusing output, right? That's what it is. It's like everything you give it has to be extremely literal and precise because it's taking all that data and finding the best prediction to do the task and give you the output. So that's the difference. As I analyze Q3 sales data and identify top 3 trends and create a 5-slide summary deck with charts. And that's a completely different input or instructions than just completely vague, right? So it's clear, precise input equals brilliant supercharged outputs. So you'll see how I know that sometimes we're not used to this, and we're used to just speaking, in probably the first thing that comes to our mind that we think people can read our minds and understand us, right? Maybe a really, really good human intern or human assistant would understand you a little bit better because he knows all about you. But if he doesn't, that's why you want to always give it as much data as possible. So it's like starting from a clean slate, always give it the information as precise as you can. Okay. So treat AI as a brilliant but literal assistant. So clear directions yield the best results. So an example here, it's if I give it, write an email to a client. This is going to give us some just garbage general template for the client, right? Doesn't even know anything. And then versus if you tell it you're my senior account manager, write a friendly but professional email to a client named Sarah. Remind her that her Meta Ads invoice is due tomorrow, but thank her for the great results we saw on Black Friday campaign last week. Okay, this is a completely different email that it's going to write. Is extremely clear and precise what you're looking to get out of it. So I know that sometimes we get lazy and we just want to, put the biggest and the easiest input from the beginning, but you're going to get not very good results if you don't create something a lot more literal and a lot more precise. Okay, so I put a little task here for you if you want to test it out. So I want you to act like a really bad boss, right? Give the AI a 1-sentence instruction for a complex task, like make me a marketing plan. So you're going to see the useless result it's going to give, right? Try it out. And then rewrite it and ask as if you're talking to a highly skilled intern who has never met you before. Okay? It's literally the first time he's meeting you. So give him the context, the goal, and the tone of the end result that you want. And then you'll see for yourself how cool it is and the difference that you're going to get, all right? Try it out. Let me know. Now, here's how LLMs work. LLMs are large language models, okay? Which that's what they literally are. They're just a model with a ton of language or a ton of text, right? That it read already and it has in its memory and understands it to utilize it to create predictions, okay? So it's literally an autocomplete on steroids. And It's trained on billions of words from the internet, books, articles, literally as much data as the makers of the LLMs can feed it, then they will, right? So that's why when we tested the quick brown fox, dot, 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 you test that and it's going to find the prediction from everything that it read in the past, find whatever it's ideal, and it's going to be the best next word. Then it's going to find it. But not just that, it actually can predict not just the next word, but the entire complex ideas based off massive, massive patterns. Okay, so it's literally a pattern recognition machine. That's what it is. So that's why you'll see here jumps over a lazy dog and into a world of adventure. The quick brown fox is actually a metaphor for agility in modern business. It's a poem about Fox's journey. So he can actually pull out and create all different types of ideas out of it, which is not really thinking, it's just making predictions. That's what it is. So that's why we can tell it, write a one word at a time, write a story one word at a time. The first word is once. And then wait for me to ask you for the next word. I'll tell it that. I'm going to type it next. So first word is going to be once. So I wrote once. Now I'm going to ask you for the next one. Next. I'm guessing upon a time is going to say. One's there. Okay, see? And it's trying to predict what the next word's going to be. Was. One's there was. Because you see, if I take this and edit it, and I'll say next one. If you edit the past conversation, it's going to start again from that specific one. So it might give me a different one. Once upon, see? Upon, so it changed it. So it predicted the next word. And it doesn't have to be the same one. That's why when you ask him something and input something, you might get a specific output or you may get another one. I mean, it's not going to be always exactly the same. Next word. I'm going to type next word. Save. And you'll see how it's going to keep. Let's see if it's going to give me there. Once upon. See? Once upon. And it gave me two words instead of a single word. So see how it's not 100% the exactly same output that's going to give you, even though I'm asking you the same question, literally. So that's why, as you can see here, it's not always going to be exactly the same output. So it's just a prediction. All right. And one thing also to understand is that it uses data as fuel. So it's been given a bunch of text from books, articles, code, images and video, visual patterns, numbers and sensors for stats, measurements, KPIs. All that raw data is put it into the engine or the AI model. And that's what's going to give you the intelligence outputs, predictions, contents, actions. But AI models are like engines. They require vast amounts of diverse data to run and generate intelligent, accurate outputs. But they have a cutoff on the data that they know. So if I ask him who won the Super Bowl in 2026, and I'm putting a thing here, do not search online because they have access to the internet now. I can start a new conversation and tell it who won the Super Bowl. And it's not going to know because, right now, while I'm asking, we're in 2025. But still, the cutoff data that it has is beyond. You'll see this is beyond my January 2025 knowledge cutoff. See? So these models, once they keep getting updated, they'll have more and more updated data, but they do have a cutoff time where they have only trained up until a specific time frame, a specific time. So it's only going to know that, and you can't really ask it to produce that information or give you something else because it doesn't know. So they do have that limitation. But now they have, pretty much all of them have search tools that they can just go online and search and give you the answers. So, but if you don't have that, then that's the limitations they have, right? So try it for yourself and check it out. This is a pretty cool test to do. All right, so now let's go for the prompt engineering foundation. So the prompts, it's basically just the instructions. That's all there is. Instructions we give the AI. So we have what we call the C.R.E.D.O framework. It's just context, role, examples, deliverable, and output constraints. This is the, I'd say, the most basic prompt engineering framework. I use another one that has 8 to 10 different sections, but that's to create full-on agents that are extremely detailed. But we can see those later. Now, the context is going to be one of the most important things. So who, what, where. We're going to provide the background story, right? So let's say if I want to get a specific output, I would tell it, I own a boutique fitness studios in downtown Miami. We're launching a 6-week weight loss challenge. Okay, so we're giving some background, some context. And this is extremely important because if you remember, it's like every single time you speak to the AI, you start a conversation with the AI, it's as if it never met you before in the past. So it has no idea who you are, what you do, what's going on in life. It's like you just woke up and you're just asking something, and it's like, oh my God, what do I do? Like I need information. So it needs as much info as it can. Now, I do want to touch a little bit more in context because all of these LLMs have what they're called a context window. So before we dive deeper into this, I want to explain what a context window is in this little image. So let's say how we measure the context is with tokens, and tokens for LLMs or AI are equal to about 4 characters. Okay. So whenever you have imagine this is the full conversation window right here with all the conversation text from what you say, what the AI says, everything. And so a lot of these have a context window of about 200,000 tokens. Some of them have more. Some of them have 400,000 tokens. Some of them have 1,000,000 tokens. Okay. Some of them have a little more than others. And so what's important to know is that once those tokens fill up, you can't really continue the conversation because it doesn't have any more space in its brain, I would say, to continue. So you have to start a new chat. That probably happened to you. Like you reached the max length of the conversation, and it just tells you, hey, just you got to start a new chat because we don't have any more space. So that's what happens. It takes in everything that goes in here. It's literally the messages you send, the messages the AI responds with. All of that goes in the context window. So it's about 1 token equals about 4 characters of text. Okay. So 4 characters. And so that's why we want to understand here that you can have 3 types of different texts that go into the context. It's the system prompt. This is when you are building AI agents, they allow you to put in system prompts, or the project instructions if you're in Claude and you want to create your own projects, which are in here. They're basically agents. Once you create a new project, you'll see it says instructions. These instructions are what it's called a system prompt. So this is the instruction of the system, pretty much. Okay, so here, this is a full-on prompt with all specific instructions, okay, so to follow. So once you add a system prompt, that's usually mostly what the AI is going to use as its main instructions. And then you have the user message, and then you have the assistant message. The user message is whenever you're typing something, you're sending it in the chat. So like here as a message, right? To say hi. This is a user message, the first one. And then the assistant message is the one that's going to reply with. Okay, here it is. This is the assistant message. So that is everything that comes in. So every single time you send a message and you get a reply, this thing fills up. The second time it doesn't have the system message, and then keeps filling up every time you answer, keep asking questions, uploading documents if you are, or uploading photos, information until it fills up. and then it gets to the end. Once it gets to the end, you won't be able to add more stuff to it. So, and the other important thing is that every single time you send a message to the AI and get a response back, let's say you're in this level, you've been talking to it for a little bit. What it does is it takes into account all of the information from all the past answers that it replied with and that you've asked, plus the system prompt. Okay. So it's taking all that data into account to make the best prediction of the output that it's going to give you next time. That's why one of the hacks for this is if you're, let's say, talking about a specific task, like you're getting it to help you write an email, and then you want to switch out and get it to help you write your landing page, for example, copy or your text. You don't want to continue on the same conversation. You want to start a new conversation. So if I'm here, I want to always have a new chat, so we can start this whole thing from a clean slate. Okay, so it doesn't have the context of the other stuff that doesn't have to do anything with our current task. So that's why this is extremely important to understand, is that you're literally always, it's not like you're chatting with it back and forth. It seems like it, but you're sending a single input and getting an output from the full context of the current conversation. Might that be it's an existing continued conversation, or you're starting from a blank slate, from a new chat with only a system prompt or no prompt. I mean, if you're not using a specific custom agent that you built. So this is extremely important to understand, and why if you're getting bad answers or bad outputs, maybe it's because you have a long conversation already and you just got to start a new one, because it's taking in a bunch of text and information that has nothing to do with your output. And it maybe gave you a bunch of bad responses in the past. And if that happens, it's going to read those responses and use them as part of the prediction. And that's not good. So that's why you want to delete those. You want to start just a new chat every time to get everything fresh, and start in with just the information you wanted to understand for the specific task that you're giving it. That's extremely, extremely important. Okay. All right. And the next one's going to be, all right, so we go back into the C.R.E.D.O, into our main prompting instructions. So you always want to give it then the context of what you're doing, a role or a specific expert persona. So let's say you are a world-class direct response copywriter who specializes in Facebook ads. So remember, we're trying to create some ads in here. Okay, I could say here for our own boutique fitness studios in downtown. And then examples. So examples, you want to show, don't tell. So give a reference point to match a voice. So here's a sample of an ad that performed well for us in the past, and then you paste the old ad text in there. Okay. So if you give it examples, remember, it's extremely good at understanding patterns and predicting based on patterns. So if you give it some starting point to model from, then it's going to give you the best results. And then the next one is going to be deliverables. Okay, so the deliverable, you want to give it the exact output. You want to define exactly what you want. So an example of that would be write 3 different headlines, add headlines, and 2 versions of the body copy. Okay. If I didn't write this, then it could give me anything. It could give me a full ad, it could give me 10 different ads, it could give me 4 different ads. It could give me a short version ad, and I want the long version ad. So the more exact you can be, the better it is. And the last one's going to be the output constraints. So no-go zones. So you want to set boundaries and limitation always, because otherwise it's just going to do whatever it wants. That's why you have to be as exact as you can. So example, do not use emojis, do not use the word revolutionary, and keep each headline under 40 characters. Great. So now we give it all of that information, then it's going to give us ideally the best possible outcomes, right? But one important thing to understand and note is that you don't just prompt once. You want to prompt, review, and refine for perfection. Because very rarely you're going to get the best results out of the first output that it's going to give you. So what you want to do is you go in, you add in your initial C.R.E.D.O prompt, right, for the instructions, then you'll see what it gave you. And then you see, hey, this one had a good opening hook. Maybe this is too generic, needs more urgency. Word choices is off. And then you're going to tell it, okay, please change this and add this. This is not the correct way of doing it, blah, blah, blah. So you kind of reinforce the results and tell it what to refine. So we go here and you type, refinement, great start. For email 2, rewrite the second paragraph to focus on the 24-hour discount, keep the tone urgent. For email 3, replace the nice deal with exclusivity opportunity. Okay. And then we go forward, final polished output, right? Then you got the final emails that they look good. Great. So typically, you want to go back and forth a few times until you give out the information. And I want this to test it for yourself. So you can, this is one like a test prompt you can use. And go ahead and use the C.R.E.D.O framework to even do a couple more different tests just to see exactly what you can get out of it, but with multiple turns. Turn 1, you can use the C.R.E.D.O framework to get the draft. Then you want to read the draft and tell the AI one thing you hate about it. For example, it's too salesy, the subject line is boring, and then wait for the response. On the turn number 3, you're going to tell the AI to add a call to action that offers a free 15-minute audit, right? So you want to keep refining it. And a way to not have to do so many turns back and forth is once you create your very own agents with the system prompts that I was talking about. Because the system prompts are going to be extremely detailed with exactly what you want. That's why in my projects or in my AI instructions, the system instructions are extremely detailed. If you look at them, they're super long and detailed because it has every single little thing that we need it to do to make sure our outputs are great with examples and everything. So as you keep testing these and making more of these, then you'll realize how exact you can be with the instructions, and the quality of the outputs that you're gonna get are going to dramatically increase because you're that much better at giving extremely granular instructions so that the actual AI agent can take those and predict the best outputs for you. And you want to have to keep going back and forth every single time, right? So give it a try. Try it out like this and see for yourself. Now, here's the one concept that I apply constantly to everything because it's the best way to get the best outputs, the best results with using AI and trying to accomplish any single task. So imagine you're trying to build a car, and if you tell AI to just, build me a car. That's it. Do the whole thing in a single shot. And what you're gonna get is it's just gonna try to build whatever you can, and you're gonna get a messy engine, generic output, and maybe you could probably run, but it's not gonna be that good. It's gonna be a lower quality kit cart, unreliable and inconsistent. Okay. The difference there is if we go and do agent stacking and create it like an assembly line approach, you're going to have one agent that is a specialist in pistons, so it's going to create a precise fit. The second agent is going to be in timing tuner, so exact calibration. Then you got another agent doing the bodywork, is a bodywork expert with a flawless finish. And that's going to build you a super optimized engine with an expert output, right? It's going to give you a result of a high performance Ferrari deliverables, superior quality, because each of them are experts in its own little field, and then they come together like an assembly line, just like a car, and they're going to create the best possible result. So the same way you're going to use AI to help you accomplish whatever you want to do in this simple way, where if you see, this is my protocol to create a marketing foundation for any business, pretty much. And I utilize 6 different AI experts here, which while you can use AI experts specifically with a set of instructions that have a domain on their own. So this one is an audience expert, this one is a problem level expert, market research expert agent, right? You can imagine these as new chats, if anything. if you don't have agents for this stuff, but you want to build them, ideally, so you get the best results, or at least utilize the C.R.E.D.O framework on them, on those chats. So you want to build out the full thing piece by piece, okay, to get the best result, just like an assembly line. So if you see mine, the first one here is I give it our audience expert for us to find out if which one is the best audience to sell our products to. We give the context of what our current audience is and our offer idea or whatever we're selling. And that guy is going to give us an output, a result. And then we're going to feed it into our problem level expert, which we give it the audience that this guy gave us, the information, and then also our offer and product service. Then it's going to find out which problem is best for us to resolve for that specific audience to get up to mass market levels. Then that guy is going to go and come in, the market research agent with our offer idea and our offer audience and so forth. It's going to keep going like that. So we keep feeding into the process step by step, giving them all the information from our refined past experts so that you get the best outputs instead of just telling one in a single chat, hey, give me a marketing foundation document. This is what we sell and our audience and what we do, right? So that's a drastically different result once you take this route. That it does take a little bit longer, yes, but the result is going to be dramatically different. I mean, that's why I use this assembly line process for literally everything we do for any task, big or small, because we want to make sure that we get the best results, building them little by little until we get the best outputs. So what you want to do is you want to take in whatever tasks you have and break it down into smaller steps and just create hyper specific experts for them, or prompts, instructions for each of the parts of the task. And that way you're going to get the best result. Try it out and you'll see for yourself. Try it out to just give it out a single prompt with one chat to give you the exit foundation, the output, versus trying them little by little in each of the steps until you get the different ones and combine them for the ultimate output, right? Try it out for yourself. You see the results with your own eyes. Now, here are a few things to keep in mind. It's just kind of the guardrails here from for the AI. Is that you always want to fact check them because it's prone to give us some hallucinations, right? So the AI, it's not designed to not give you unfactual results. It's just more about predicting what is going to be the best output for you and the best idea, the best text that will come word by word. So doesn't really fact check itself unless you ask it. You can always ask it, to always give you the most factual information only. Do not make anything up. That could be one of the guardrails that you put in. So try that out if you're getting hallucination. But you always want to check and fact check it in important stuff. The other thing is privacy information here is that once you use any of these LLMs, anything you're going to send in here is going to be used to train the LLMs, okay? So they're actually going to see all your information and can't spit it out to other people, if anything. So you don't want to put in there any specific secretive, sensitive information. Do not do that. Do not upload it to them. Unless you're using the API to create your own apps and use your own use the AI through the API, then that information is not training the models. So you can do it, but very careful there. Not that advisable, honestly. Any very sensitive information. And then you always want to review, honestly. You want to review everything. So AI, treat it as your drafter, not your approver. The final decision must always be a human. So I always like to say that the AI is not really going to replace the humans, but it's going to enhance the humans. It's going to help you out because you can get you 80-90% of the way. But the last 10%, you do want to put your hands in there so that you get the best results out of there, because sometimes it can go crazy. So you always want to be the reviewer, you want to have that manual review at the end. So you're the ultimate guardrail. All right. So just keep these in mind. They're important while you're using AI. All right. Now here's a few prompting hacks that you could use. That use a lot. And that the first one is going to be always plan before acting. So you want to define the goal, map the strategy. Don't just jump into getting the output or asking it to give you the final output from the first go and the get go. And this is a really good way of making sure that you perfect the strategy first before getting the output. And we always get the best results when we plan before getting the output from the first shot. So what this means is, let's say I'm with my ImageCraft agent. This is just an agent that I have to help me create prompts to generate images. And so I can tell it, I need a banner image for my private group, Elite AI Operators. Let's plan it out. All right. So while planning it out, it's going to give me usually some options. And then this way we can like flush out the ideas. It's just like brainstorming. So this is like the brainstorming session before executing something. So if you have a important task, you do want to brainstorm before. You want to plan it out, right? So just like as you would in real life, you want to do that. So he says, let's plan this out properly. A few questions to dial in the direction. Context and text. What exact text needs to appear in the banner? Should it include a tagline or just a group name? A logo, badge, visual directions. What are you thinking? Exploring something new, technical specs. So you see how detailed this stuff is. So you want to answer these questions, or even if you really don't want to do much here, you can ask it, give me your best suggestion. That's it. So this is another thing you can do. If you don't want, if you want to try it, just give me your best suggestion. This actually has worked for me more times that I could think. I remember. So it's even better to, even if you just ask it, give me your best suggestion, but you're planning something out before, then I just ask it out flat. Even if I'm just giving it its all reins and allowing it to just drive it wherever it wants to go, it's still thinking first, planning it out, and then giving an output. So now it says mood, calm authority. Want me to build it out? Yes, build it out. So you can allow it to just give you as much planning as you want in the way that it wants, or you can just drive it and tell it how you want it exactly. But this way we're planning it out, and it's going to give us a lot better outputs. This is for anything that we're building out. I like to do that. Okay, so let's say this one, I'm going to copy this. And we'll use Gemini. I use Gemini to generate images. I'm going to paste that prompt, the text to image prompt, and it's going to generate me an image. Let's see what it comes up with. It's usually just a few seconds here. Conceptualizing the scene. There you go. Elite AI operators. Cool. All right, so there's our banner. So it's always good to plan it out and give it, or you can also give it any examples. Like I said in the C.R.E.D.O, you always want to give it some examples as well. Okay, that's one of the greatest hacks that you have. Examples. Examples are huge. So the other part other than planning is you can ask it to whatever task you can add at the end the words "think step by step," and that's going to make it push and break down complex tasks and follow a logical sequence. So sometimes it actually helps flush out the answers better once you tell it to think step by step, which is kind of like planning, but on its own back end. Like you don't really see it, what it's thinking. But it's good to ask it, like literally you type in think step by step at the end of your prompt. So let's say I'm asking it, give me a new image for our banner. Think step by step. and then it's going to think it out. Like typically, this you work it out for problems, any problems that you might want to flush out and stuff. Then you put that at the end of the prompt or the instructions. Now nowadays, most of these language models that are what's called reasoning models or thinking models, which are the bigger ones here. Like you'll see here in Gemini, if you start a new conversation, you'll see once you select the model in here, down here, you got thinking models or pro models. These are going to be the reasoning models. So you see like the ones that say thinks longer for advanced math and code, solves complex problems. The stuff that says that, like complex and thinking longer, that uses reasoning tokens or a little bit more thinking step by step and planning. So that's kind of built in into the bot itself and the agent. But you can still add it in there and plan, actually do the planning with them, and it's going to be even better. Okay. Versus the other faster models, typically when you see that, this one says fast. Once they reply fast, it's because they're not really thinking step by step or planning ahead. So you get the kind of like the first prediction that it's going to give us. Okay. And typically those are good for some things, but like for planning and for complex stuff, you want the thinking models, right? You want the thinking, which is right now is a Gemini 3 Pro, and the same here. You want the Opus 4.5 is going to be the best one. So it's most capable for complex work. Okay, then you have like Sonnets, which is like best for everyday tasks, and Hauku is like the fastest for quick answers. Those are the ones that do not reason, right? They just give you the answer, the prediction as quickly as possible. So they don't have that built-in planning or thinking beforehand. And then the other one's going to be if you want these reasoning models like Opus, which this one only works on Claude, the Claude models. This is like a little hack they added, and you can tell it to think hard, think harder, or ultra think. And this is the last one that achieves peak AI reasoning, synthesizes complex concepts. It's like the ultimate hack. So this one uses like the most thinking. It's going to take a little bit longer to reply, but it's going to think a lot more. So if I go and tell it, like literally here, make me a new image that is 10 times better. And then I type ultra think. That is a little command that you give it, and it's going to think a lot harder to get us the actual end result in there, right? So those are the little hacks that you can use, and you'll see that it takes a little longer. And once you see that it takes longer, it's because it's actually thinking longer and reasoning a little bit longer, thinking step by step. If you open this little thing here, you can actually see what it's doing and like what makes something 10 times better. Not incremental improvement, but paradigm shift. Something that stops people on their tracks. Memorable, distinctive, ownable, perfect execution for the clear idea. So this is what it's doing. It's actually planning. What do I know about Salo's brand? Apple style. Minimalism, simplistic, but wow. Dark foundations with light accents, because he has some of my memory. Like all these models now have like a general memory, so they understand all your context. You see, thought for 46 seconds, and said, "Let me think through this from the first principles. What makes something 10x? The incremental improvement, a paradigm shift, right? So it gives you the information. It's just so freaking cool." And so you'll see almost entirely darkness, deep, vast, confident black. The execution, good, and then gives me a prompt. We can try this prompt here. So you see how different he gave us. Like he thought through the process, gave us a lot more information, and that made it so much different. It's crazy. So let's see what comes up with this one now. What's a little hack that you want to use for it to push harder for you, pretty much, and give you the information. Oh, you see? Oh, that looks actually much nicer and cleaner than the other one. You see, this was the Ultrathink, and then the other one was this one. Yeah, this one looks a little more generic. This one looks a lot more cleaner. Like, yeah, super cool actually. So you'll see that it's refining. We're actually using the refinement also in here because we didn't just use the first output, but if you remember, you have also the the iterative prompting loops. So you always want to keep pushing, keep asking, and making it better and better until you get the best results. So those are the little hacks that you can apply, and try these out. Try it on your instructions, on your prompting, everything that you do, and you'll see that you get a lot better results while you use these little hacks and everything else that we've spoken about. All right. So try it out. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks.